سلام دوستان عزیز به کانال من خیلی خوش اومدین. اسم من مریمه و من مدرس زبان فارسی هستم. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mariam and I'm a Persian language instructor. So we have a new lesson. It's actually the first lesson for the intermediate level. So if you have been learning Farsi with my lessons, we have finished the beginner level. So congratulations. And now we are starting with the intermediate level. So I also wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who have subscribed to my channel. That really helps me and motivates me to come back and to make more lessons for you guys. So thank you so much. Merci, خیلی ممنون. All right, so let's just start with the lesson. Let's go over what we are going to learn in this lesson. First, we are going to go over the 3 moods in Farsi, and then talk a little bit about imperative mood, and then we are going to go over the uses of imperative and see why do we need to learn imperative and when we can use it. And the other one is the different imperative modes in Farsi. And then we are going to go over how to form it. And then we need to go over the irregular forms. And after that, there are a few important points that you need to know when it comes to imperative. And then we are going to get some practice. 3 different modes in Persian. 3 وجه مختلف در زبان فارسی. So وجه means mood. So in Farsi, we have 3 different moods. We have the indicative mood, subjunctive mood, and imperative mood. So indicative mood, which is called وجه إخباری, it is used to express facts and other statements that are believed to be true. They are based on objective facts. So every time you see a verb that has a tense, or it needs to have a tense, then the mood is indicative mood. And here are the tenses in Farsi. We have learned these tenses in the beginner level, and we are going to learn these tenses in the intermediate level. Then we have the subjunctive mood. Subjunctive mood is called وجه التزامی. In Farsi is a very important mood, and I will cover this in the next lesson. So when do we use subjunctive? It is used to express desire, doubt, unknown emotion is based on subjective facts. And then in Farsi, we have 3 different subjunctive modes. We have the present subjunctive, and then we have the past subjunctive and perfect subjunctive. But don't worry about this for now. These are for other lessons. In this lesson, we are going to cover the imperative mode, which is the 3rd mode. وجه امر, or we also call it وجه دستوری. So this is used to make direct commands, including orders, requests, advice, instructions, warning. So this is the mood that we are going to learn in this lesson. Uses of imperatives. If you are wondering why do you even need to learn imperative, well, these are the areas that we use imperative. So the first one is like to give direct command or order, which some of them could be strong commands. For example, go to your room or wash your hands, depending on the tone. Or it is used to give instructions or advice, which they are milder commands. For example, take 1 pill a day, go left at the intersection. It is used to give requests. Again, it's like mild commands. For example, please start, please call me, or whatever request. The other one is to give invitations. For example, please come inside, have some tea, let's go to dinner, something like this. And then the last one is to give prohibitions. For example, you want to give warning to someone. So for example, don't drink too much, don't sit on the bench, drive carefully. So these are the areas that imperative is used. Now let's go over the different types of imperative mode. The first one is the to one, the to form, which is used for singular informal commands. It is used to tell friends, children, pets, family members, or people the same age as you or younger. So this is the most common imperative form used in Farsi. And then we have the شما form. The شما form is the singular but formal commands, meaning it is used to tell someone you don't know very well, a person older than you, a person who you want to show some respect, then this one is used. And then we have the شما plural commands, which is used to address any group of people. It doesn't matter formal or informal, but any group, any like more than one people, then we need to use the شما form. And now we are going to learn how we can form the imperative mood. Let's start with the singular informal to form. So we have two verbs here. The first one simple verb and the second one a compound verb. So here we need the letter B, and then we need the present stem of the verb. And for the present stems, you just need to memorize them. There are no formulas for the present stem. So خوابیدن, what is the present stem of خوابیدن? It's خواب. So now we just attach be to خواب. So it's going to give me بخواب. And remember the U here is silent. Imagine this aleph is attached to the letter خ. So بخواب. It means go to sleep or go to bed. The next one, which is a compound verb, حرف زدن. So حرف زدن, zan is the present stem. So we attach be to the present stem. So حرف بزن, which means either to talk, not to talk, sorry, which it means like imagine you're telling someone like speak up, talk to me, something like this. Now let's go over the negative form of it, which is mostly used for prohibitions. So back to these two verbs. So for the negative, we need to replace be with na. So be needs to be replaced with na. So here بخواب changes to نخواب, which means now don't sleep or don't go to bed. The same here, be will be replaced with na. So here حرف بزن, the بزن part here changes to نزن, حرف نزن, which means, for example, don't talk or don't speak. Now let's go over the singular formal شما and the plural شما. So they are both of them are formed the same. This is for singular formal شما. For example, if you're talking to an older person, and we said that plural شما is when you're addressing a group of people. So we have two different verbs here. The first one is نوشتن. So we need the present stem, right? Because it's the same formula. We attach be to present stem, but now we need to add this ending, which is the ending for شما. All right, so be plus نویس plus id, بنویسید, بنویسید, it means write. And then the second one, درس خواندن. So خان here again, the U here is silent. Imagine aleph is attached to خ. So we attach be, خان, ید. درس بخوانید. It means study. And also let's go over the negative form too, which is also used for prohibitions. So back to this one. So be also needs to be replaced with na. So be with na here. So بنویسید changes to ننویسید. ننویسید. It means like don't write down. The second one, be, needs to change to na. So درس بخوانید here changes to درس نخوانید. It means don't study. Now let's go over these verbs that we just did, and let's see them all next to each other with the different forms, positive and negatives. And I added one more verb for more practice. So the first one again, خوابیدن. خواب is the present stem, so it would be بخواب, نخواب, بخوابید, نخوابید. The second one, نوشتن. نویس is the present stem. بنویس، ننویس، بنویسید، ننویسید. The third one, پوشیدن. Push is the present stem. بپوش، نپوش، بپوشید، نپوشید. And then the next one, درس خواندن. خوان is the present stem. درس بخوان، درس نخوان، درس بخوانید، درس نخوانید. The next one, حرف زدن. زن is the present stem. حرف بزن، حرف نزن، حرف بزنید، حرف نزنید. And then the last one, انجام دادن. ده is the present stem. انجام بده، انجام نده، انجام بدهید، انجام ندهید. Now let's go over the Persian imperative irregulars, which they don't follow the regular pattern. Once you think that you learned the formula and you're ready to apply it, and then boom, you're suddenly hit by this list of irregular verbs. But they're not that hard, they're easy to follow, so we're gonna go over them one by one. Let's take a look at the first one, the irregular imperative form of the verb بودن. So بودن, to be, as you all know, the present stem is hast. So if I want to follow the regular pattern, it should be something like به hast, right? To attach به to the present stem. But no, that's wrong. We do not say به hast, we say باش. So you just need to memorize it. And then the negative is نباش. باشید، نباشید. Which the spoken form of باشید is باشین, and the spoken form of نباشید is نباشین. Let's take a look at 3 examples. So here the first one, we want to say don't worry. So to worry is نگران بودن. That's the infinitive form. نگران نباش. So again, بودن, we cannot use hast as a present stem and add be to it. Instead, we need to use the irregular form of it. And then this is don't worry, so it's negative. So we add na to it. So نگران نباش. And this is the تو form. For شما form, we say نگران نباشید. The second one, be happy. To be happy, خوشحال بودن. خوشحال باش. خوشحال باش. So again, this is the تو form. For the شما form, خوشحال باشید. Or for the negative, خوشحال نباشید. The third one, we want to say be careful. مواظب بودن. مواظب بودن. That's to be careful. مواظب باش. مواظب باش. Or the شما form of it would be مواظب باشید. So we covered the first one, the irregular imperative form of بودن. Now we are going to take a look at the second category, the irregular imperative form of the two verbs رفتن and خوردن. So these two verbs, رفتن and خوردن, the pronunciation is a little bit different than what we just learned. So رفتن, رو is the present stem, right? So technically it should be برو, but we don't really say برو, we say برو. So we add a o instead. But then the rest is the same for رفتن. So نرو, بروید, which the spoken form is برین, and نروید, which the spoken form is نرین. For the verb رفتن, the spoken form is very different than the formal form, and you just have to memorize it. And then خوردن, خور is the present stem. So technically we should say بخور, but no, we add a bo to it and we say بخور. Maybe in some region in Iran, different dialect, maybe they say بخور, but the standard one, we usually just say بخور. And then the negative one is regular, is نخور. And then the شما one is not بخورید, is بخورید. Which the spoken one, we say بخورین. And then نخورید, the spoken form is نخورین. So these are just regular. They follow the regular pattern. Only these three here, the pronunciation changes. Let's take a look at two examples. For example, the first one, go to your room. So to go, رفتن. Room, اتاق. So برو اتاقت. So we don't say برو, like برو اتاقت. And also we said with the verb رفتن, usually it comes earlier. This is just one of the exceptions. And then the other one, eat these fruits. So خوردن, خور is a present stem. Fruit, fruits, میوه ها. این میوه ها را بخور. So again, we don't say بخور, we say بخور. این میوه ها را بخور. That's a little bit formal. Let's turn it more spoken. این میوه ها رو بخور. One more time. این میوه ها رو بخور. We covered this one, the verbs خوردن and رفتن, and now we are going to take a look at verbs with the verbal element شدن and کردن. So verbs with the verbal elements شدن and کردن, any verbs. But I have two examples here. For example, the first one, روشن کردن, to turn on. So کن is the present stem. So for the imperative form, we do not add be to the present stem, to the verbal element. We just say روشن کن. We usually don't say روشن بکن. روشن کن, روشن نکن, روشن کنید, which the spoken form is روشن کنین, and then روشن نکنید, which the spoken form is روشن نکنین. Or another verb here with the verbal element شدن. So بیدار شدن, to wake up. This is the present stem, شو. So بیدار, we don't say بیدار بشو, we say just بیدار شو. بیدار نشو, بیدار شوید. The spoken form is بیدار شین. بیدار نشوید. The spoken form is بیدار نشین. Let's take a look at two examples with the verb that we just covered. So the first one, we want to say start your car. So in Farsi, we do not start the car. We turn on the car. It's also the same with any other device or machine. So we cannot use the verb to start here. We need to use the verb روشن کردن, to turn on. And کن is the present stem. And then روشن کردن is a transitive verb, right? We turn on something. So something would be your car, which is specific, which is it has a possessive your. So it will trigger را. چیزی را روشن کردن. ماشینت را روشن کن. So as you can see here, there is no be attached to the present stem, to the verbal part. So we do not say ماشینت را روشن بکن. We just say ماشینت را روشن کن. This is a little bit more formal version. The informal form is ماشین تو روشن کن. So نت becomes net, and then را becomes an او. So ماشین تو روشن کن. Next one, we want to say wake up early tomorrow. So to wake up, بیدار شدن. فردا زود بیدار شوید. This is like you, either formal or you plural. شما, sorry, شما formal or شما plural. فردا زود بیدار شوید. As you can see here, there is no be attached to شوید. So we do not say فردا زود بیدار بشوید. The more spoken form is فردا زود بیدار شین. So شوید, dal here was changed to a noon, and the rest stays the same. So we covered this row with the verbs with verbal elements shodan and kerdن, and now we are going to go over this row, verbs with non-verbal element bar. So the other categories are the verbs, the irregular imperative form of the verbs with non-verbal element bar. So we'll look at these two examples here, برداشتن and برگشتن. Both of these verbs are compound verbs. They are not simple verbs. And bar is a preposition. So with these verbs, for the imperative form, we actually do not add be to the present stem. That's wrong. We do not say barbedar. We just don't add be to it. We say bardar. So bardar, barnadar, bardarid, which the spoken form is bardarin, and then barnadarid, which the spoken form is barnadarin. Or the second one, bargashtan. Again, bar is the non-verbal part and is a preposition. So gashtan is the verb, the verbal part. Gard is the present stem. So we do not say bar begard. This is wrong. So we remove be and then we just say bargard. So bargard, barnagard, bargardid, which the spoken form is bargardin, and then barnagardid, which the spoken form is barnagardin. Let's take a look at two examples with the irregular imperative forms of the verbs with the non-verbal element bar. So here we have a sentence. It says come back soon. So to come back or to return in Farsi is bargashtan. Gard is the present stem. And then soon is zud. So literally we need to say soon come back. Zud bargard. So this is the to form in imperative. As you can see here, there is no be attached to the present stem. We do not say barbegard. We say bargard. Next one, pick up this book off the table. So bardashtan is to pick up. Dar is the present stem. And then off is as ruye. So when we want to pick something off, for example, to pick like for example this glass off the table or anything, we use the preposition as ruye, which literally it means from above. And then table is miz. So we need to say this book from above the table, pick up. In kitab ra az ruye miz bardar, because it's cheesy ra bardashtan. And then in kitab ra, we're being specific. So it has the demonstrative in. So the direct object will trigger ra. The more formal version is in kitab bo az ruye miz bardar, because ra changed to o or u, but the pronunciation is o, and then is attached to the letter before that, kitab bo az ruye miz bardar. So we covered verbs with the non-verbal element bar. Now we are going to take a look at this one. The other set of irregular imperatives are with verbs which their first letter starts with aleph. For example here, آمدن starts with aleph, آوردن starts with aleph. Back to آمدن, A is the present stem, just one letter, A. So if attach be to A, it's going to give me ba, but that's wrong. That's why we need to attach ye before after be, between be and aleph. So bia, and then the negative naya. The shoma form بیایید. Informal or spoken بیاین. نیایید. نیاین. For آوردن, if I follow the regular formula, it's going to give me باور. But باور, it's like a word by itself. It's a noun. It means believe. So this doesn't work. So we need to add a ye between be and aleph. So now it's بیاور, which in the spoken language it's pronounced بیار. نیاور, نیار. بیاورید, بیارین. نیاورید, نیارین. Now let's take a look at two examples with irregular imperatives with the verbs that their first letter starts with aleph. Alright, so for example here, don't come early. So here the verb to come in Farsi is آمدن, and a here, just one letter aleph, is the present stem. And then early is zud. So literally we need to say something like early, don't come. Zud, naya. So the nun here is for negative, is for don't, and then we add ye before aleph for pronunciation. Zud naya. And then the other one, please bring my book. So to bring is آوردن. آور is the present stem. So book is kitab. Literally, we need to say something like, please, my book with yourself bring. Because in Farsi, every time we use the verb to bring something with you, we say with yourself. We need to add self to it. لطفاً کتابم را با خودت بیار. خود is self, and then we make it possessive, yourself. خودت. بیاور. بیاور is the more formal form of it. And you see this is where the ye is before the present stem. But let's change this to more spoken form. لطفاً کتابمو با خودت بیار. So ra changed to an u and then is attached to the letter mim. کتابم را is now کتابمو. And then خودت changed to خودت. You see, a changed to an a. And then بیاور, the pronunciation in the spoken language is very different. We don't say بیاور, we say بیار. One more time. لطفاً کتابمو با خودت بیار. We finished the imperative irregulars, and I hope that wasn't too confusing. If it was, then don't worry, you'll just get it with time. You just need some practice. And now there are some important points that you need to know for imperative mood. So now there are just a few important points that you need to know for this lesson. The first point is about the difference between subjunctive and imperative. If you do not know what subjunctive is, you can skip it. But if you do know, then it's important to know the difference, because both of them, imperative and subjunctive, they are also called the be form, and they are formed the same, but they function completely differently. So imperative is only direct command. So it only applies to these two pronouns, to to and شما. And the only verbal ending it gets is this one. For example, here, مستقیم برو, so there's nothing here. And this one, مستقیم بروید, it gets the شما verbal ending. So that's only for imperative. But subjunctive, it applies to all 6 pronouns. So we can get any of these conjugations here depending on the subject. For example, او باید مستقیم برود. And there should be a word or phrase or a verb, something that triggers subjunctive. So this one, the conjugation is for او, third person singular. This one, the conjugation is for id, for شما. Or this one, just no conjugation. But as you can see, they are formed the same. Both of them, they get be attached to the present stem. But again, they function differently, so it's important to note their difference. The next point is that some of the very basic common verbs, for example, برگشتن, آمدن, or رفتن, these verbs usually they come earlier and they don't come at the end of the sentence or clause. For example, here, please return home. So technically we should say like please home return, but it comes earlier. So as you can see, لطفاً برگرد خانه. So برگرد has come before خانه. So it's the same as the English structure. Or this one, come here. So we should say, technically we should say here come, but it comes earlier. بیا اینجا. Or like this one, go home. Technically it should be home go, but no, we bring it earlier. So we say برو خانه. رفتن is very commonly, this is a very common structure used with the verb رفتن, that it comes always earlier in the sentence. I hope the lesson was not too hard up to now. Now we are going to go over some sentence so you can get more practice. So one of the areas that imperative is widely used is in a classroom. So imagine a classroom, and then there are students there, and then there's a teacher there. So these are some of the common sentences or imperative forms that a teacher tell the students. So we are going to go over the sentences one by one. So we are going to start with the first example. Again, imagine there's a classroom, there are students there, and there's a teacher there, and the teacher is telling the students something like this. Look at the list of vocab and please repeat them after me. Okay, there are two verbs here. The first one is look at and the second one is repeat. So to look in Farsi is نگاه کردن. But here we have a prepositional verb in English. We have to look at. In Farsi, it is also a prepositional verb, but the preposition is not at, is به. In Farsi, we look to something. به چیزی نگاه کردن. The second one is to repeat. تکرار کردن. And then تکرار کردن is a transitive verb. We have an object, we have a direct object. What's the direct object? It would be them, so it's a direct object pronoun. So چیزی را تکرار کردن, it will trigger را. Let's go over the other vocab. Teacher is معلم. You see there's like a thing here on the letter lam. This is called a tashdid. It means that it put a stress on the letter lam. Imagine there's like two lam, mu'allim. The problem with tashdid is most of the times you don't see it. Most of the times it's implied. So that's why you kind of have to like memorize it. You need to know which words have tashdid and which words they don't. So the second one, list, is just list. Vocab کلمه. We need to make it plural in Farsi, کلمه ها. And then please is لطفاً. What is this two line here? This is called a tanween. So basically this is how the pronunciation is, لطفاً. And then after is بعد از. And here after is a preposition, that's why it's بعد از. So literally we need to say something like to the list of vocab look and please after me them repeat. So the sentence is going to be معلم به لیست کلمه ها نگاه کنید و لطفاً بعد از من آنها را تکرار کنید. So this is the imperative form, no به, because the verbal element is کردن, the same is here. And then this is the imperative form شما for plural, right? Okay, this sentence is a little bit formal. Again, imperative form is usually used in the spoken language. So let's change it a little bit and see how the informal form of it is. به لیست کلمه ها نگاه کنین نو لطفاً بعد از من تکرارشون کنین. So what changed here? The first thing here, کنید changed to کنین. And then we said in the spoken language, we don't really pronounce va. Specifically, what we do is like imagine putting a O here. So it would be نگاه کنی no. And then the second one is the third one, sorry. آنها را becomes shun and it's attached to the non-verbal element. So تکرارشون کنین. If you don't know how this thing is constructed, you need to watch this lesson. The attaching direct object را. I will put a link in the description box for this lesson. So I'm going to read it one more time, a little bit faster, so you can get used to the spoken form of it too. معلم به لیست کلمه ها نگاه کنین و لطفاً بعد از من تکرارشون کنین. Now the second sentence. So here the teacher is telling the students, please open your books and go to page 20. The first verb is to open, the second verb is to go. So to open in Farsi is باز کردن. باز کردن is a transitive verb, right? We have a direct object. What is the direct object? It would be your book. So it would be چیزی را باز کردن, because your book is specific. We're not just talking about any books. We're talking about your book. So we'll trigger را. The second one is just to go رفتن. Preposition به جایی رفتن. In this case, جایی would be like page 20. Let's go over the other vocab. Again, teacher is معلم. Please is لطفاً. Books, کتاب ها. Remember, the suffix ha can be either attached to the noun or it can be written separately. There's really no rule for that. It's just a matter of preference. And then page is صفحه. And then number 20 is بیست. You can see the numerical form here too. All right, literally we need to say something like, please your books open and to page 20 go. لطفاً کتاب‌هایتان را باز کنید و به صفحه 20 بروید. So please don't pay attention to the colors here right now. I will explain that in a second. For now, let's go over the imperative forms. So the first one, باز کنید, no be here because the verbal part is کردن. But the second one, we need to have be, بروید. And again, we need to have, both of them needs to be conjugated because we are using imperative شما for plural. And the other thing here you need to know, صفحه 20. Imagine there's like a ye here for اضافه. Sorry, that was a very bad ye. But there's like an implied اضافه there. صفحه 20. We need to connect them. And I know beast here is a number and you're like, why do I need to connect something to a number? But here we are saying page 20, it's modifying that. So look at, like, for example, 20 here acts more like as an adjective, as a modifier, even though it's a number, right? So that's why it needs to be connected with اضافه. So this sentence now is just, it's too structured, it's too formal. We don't actually speak like this in the spoken language. So let's see how it changes in the spoken form. لطفاً کتاباتون رو باز کنین و برین صفحه 20. All right. What changed? The first thing is کتابهایتان را changed to کتابهاتون رو. Because hey, you see this is the ha for the plural, the suffix ha, right? So we really don't need he here. So ketaba, ketabha becomes ketaba. And then yetan becomes, we get rid of ye, tan here becomes tun. And then ra becomes ro. So one more time. کتابهایتان را becomes کتاباتون رو. A little bit more informally, a little bit more spoken form becomes کتاباتون نو, because رو can also become an O. So کتاباتون نو. You don't need to, guys, you don't need to speak like this. You just need to understand it. And when you hear it, at least you can understand why this form, you know, it's good for understanding, but you guys do not need to like speak like this. It's a little bit too compact, you know, and it will come with time. But you still need to know it, you know, because as natives, this is how we speak. So at least when you hear it, you can understand it. The second one is باز کنید. کنید changes to کنین. And then the pronunciation here becomes بکنین no. So we don't need او here or va. And then برین صفحه 20. So بروید, we said earlier, بروید is one of those verbs that comes a little bit earlier. So it comes in the beginning of the clause and becomes برین. So برین صفحه 20. I'm going to read it one more time. لطفاً کتاباتون رو باز کنین و برین صفحه 20. Next sentence. Now the teacher is telling the student, for your homework, write long sentences with the new verbs. This is actually a very common homework I give to my students. I always ask them to write long sentences. It's actually a very helpful exercise. All right, what is the verb here? The verb is to write. So to write in Farsi is نوشتن. نویس is the present stem. Let's go over the vocab. Teacher is معلم. For برای homework تکالیف. تکالیف. Long is بلند. Sentences جمله ها. And then new is جدید, verb or verbs, فعل ها or أفعال. أفعال here is the plural form of it. We call this plural form Arabic plural or broken plural. We have learned a little bit about this in the lesson about plural nouns in Persian. So you can either use this one or you can just add ha to the singular form فعل. The Arabic plural forms are a little bit more, I would say, late intermediate, advanced level. That's when the more Arabic plural forms come in, and that's when you need to use these forms more. But at like beginner level, intermediate, early intermediate level, you don't need to use this form. You can just add ha to the singular form. So literally we're saying something like, for your homework, long sentences with the new verbs, write. معلم برای تکالیفتان جمله های بلند با فعل های جدید بنویسید. So here is the imperative form. We need to attach به and then نویس present stem and then it is for the شما form. And let's go over some اضافه. So here جمله های بلند. We add this ye after جمله ها here because we need to connect جمله ها to بلند, to the adjective which is the modifier بلند. That's why we add a ye for اضافه. Another one here, you see فعل های جدید. We need to connect فعل ها to the adjective جدید. That's why we add a ye to it because فعل ها ends in an aleph. Alright, I think the rest is pretty clear. Now let's go over the informal form of it because this is a little bit too formal. Let's go over the spoken form of it. برای تکالیفتون جمله های بلند با فعل های جدید بنویسین. So what changed here? تکالیفتان changed to تکالیفتون. بنویسید changed to بنویسین. And then the rest is pretty much the same. So I'm going to read it one more time, a little bit faster. برای تکالیفتون جمله های بلند با فعل های جدید بنویسین. Next sentence. So now imagine the teacher is asking one of the students, her name is Mina, to do the following. So the teacher is saying, Mina, go to the first paragraph, read it sentence by sentence, and translate it into English. So here we have three verbs. The first one, go. Read is the second one. Translate is the third one. So to go, رفتن. To read, خوردن. خوردن is a transitive verb, so it's چیزی را خواندن. So what would be the object? The object is it, so it would trigger را. And then to translate is ترجمه کردن. But remember, ترجمه کردن in Farsi the preposition is not into, it's to, is به. به چیزی ترجمه کردن. So let's go over the vocab. So first is اول. Paragraph is paragraph. Sentence is جمله. And then we say sentence. In English, we say sentence by sentence. In Farsi, we say sentence to sentence. So be here does not by is only translated to be in this context. By is a very common preposition in English, and depending on the context, it can be translated into different things in Farsi. So here we can use be. And then English is انگلیسی. So literally, we need to say something like, Mina, to paragraph first go, sentence to sentence read, and to English translate. مینا به پاراگراف اول برو، آن را جمله به جمله بخوان و به انگلیسی ترجمه کن. So the second آن را, the second it, which is this one, it's in a bracket because it can be implied, because the object, like the subject, can be carried forward. So this one, we don't need to repeat it again, because then it would make it redundant. And so here, boro, because we say we do for boro, earlier it was one of the irregular forms. We said that we say boro, not bero. And then بخوان, we add a be to the present stem, and ترجمه کن, کردن, we said the verbal element کردن, no be. I think the rest is pretty clear. All right. Now let's take a look at the informal form. مینا برو پاراگراف اول. جمله به جمله بخون و به انگلیسی ترجمه کن. So what changed here? برو came earlier because we said this verb, رفتن, comes earlier a little bit. What else? آن را, I put it in a bracket because it can be implied. We don't need to necessarily say it. But if you want to say it, the spoken form would be uno. Because on ra, on becomes un, ra becomes u, so uno. And then بخوان changes to بخون. خواندن in the spoken form is pronounced خوندن. And then the rest is the same. I'm going to read it one more time. مینا برو پاراگراف اول، جمله به جمله بخون و به انگلیسی ترجمه کن. Last example for this lesson. So now the teacher is telling the students, memorize the new words for the next class because they are very important. So we have our first verb here, memorize, which should be in imperative mood. And the second one is are, but this one is just indicative mood. So to memorize in Farsi is حفظ کردن. حفظ کردن has two other meanings as well. It means to guard and to protect. In this context, it means to memorize. So memorize is a transitive verb. What are we memorizing here? We are memorizing the new words. So this is the direct object and it's specific. Why? Because the new words. We're not talking about any words, any new words. We're talking about the new words. So it would be cheesy raw. We need to have raw after the direct object. And then to be is just بودن. Let's go over the vocab. New is جدید. Words کلمه ها. For is برای. Next is bad. Class is class. Because is چون. We write it as چون, but it's pronounced چون. Very is خیلی. Important is مهم. So we have another تشدید here. So literally we are saying something like words new for class next memorize because they very important are. Remember here, why, for example, words new or why class next? Because in Farsi first comes the noun, then the modifier, and they need to be connected with اضافه. And then we have two independent clauses here. This is the first one, words new for class next memorize. So the verb comes at the end of the first independent clause. And then, because very important are the verbs comes at the end of the next independent clause. And they, in English you see they, in Farsi it can be implied. We don't need to repeat it again. معلم کلمه های جدید را برای کلاس بعد حفظ کنید چون خیلی مهم هستند. So here we have our first imperative, actually our only imperative form, حفظ کنید, no be, and then کنید, referring to imperative شما, plural. And then the second one is just indicative, مهم هستند. So for اضافه, you see here کلمه های جدید. So کلمه ها ends in an aleph. So in order to connect کلمه ها to جدید, we add a ye, so اضافه can sit there. کلمه های جدید. There's another اضافه here, کلاس بعد, because next class, right? Next is modifying class. So it comes after کلاس. They need to be connected with اضافه. Also برای اضافه, برای کلاس بعد. Let me write down the اضافes here. کلمه های جدید برای کلاس بعد. And then no more اضافes. Alright, this sentence is too formal, too structured. Let's make it a little bit more spoken or colloquial. معلم کلمه های جدید رو برای کلاس بعد حفظ کنین چون خیلی مهمن. So what changed here? The first thing, ra, changed to ro. If you want more spoken, more colloquial, then it becomes jadido. Ro becomes an u here, but it's not pronounced jadidu. We don't say u, we say o, jadido. What else changed? Konid changed to konin, and then mohem hastan, we can get rid of the hast part, the present stem, and this also changes, we remove dal, so noon will be attached to mohem, so mohemman, خیلی mohemman. I'm going to read that one more time, a little bit faster. کلمه های جدید رو برای کلاس بعد حفظ کنین چون خیلی مهمن. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you guys found this lesson helpful. Please let me know in the comment section if you have any feedback, anything that can help me to improve my lessons. Please let me know. And I will see you guys in the next lesson. فعلا خدا حافظ.